All right, today we are talking about the 5 don'ts after setting up your LLC. So you're all excited, you got your LLC set up, your business is about to start growing, and you want to get into the weeds on that, but maybe you have concerns or anxieties, fears, worries around if the LLC is actually set up correctly, or what don't you know as a new LLC owner. By the end of this video, you are going to feel much more secure and confident that you're doing things right. And the reason I'm making this video is actually our first thing, which is don't panic. And specifically, don't panic when you get letters like this from the IRS or your state. When I used to get these when I first set up my first LLC, like every time I get one, I'd be like, oh gosh, what did I do wrong? And I'd freak out. And sometimes you'd open up the letter, and we'll open up that letter at the end of this video, and it's something that doesn't even matter. It's just like them being like, hi, we're here. Or sometimes it's something that sounds scary. And I think my CPA had enough of me just like scanning these and emailing them to him and being like, what is this? So we jump on a call and he goes, look, half of the time, these are just wrong. Like it's something that you already set up, but in their system, it's set up incorrectly or it's on a delay. And these mailers went out 3 weeks later and you already took care of it. Sometimes it's a pure mistake on their end, and sometimes it's a mistake on your end. But when it's a mistake on your end, you can usually rectify it and fix it. There are larger mistakes, which we're going to talk about in this video, but he's like, most of the time, it's not a big deal. Relax. Okay, so number 2 is setting up a business bank account. Now, if you've watched some of my other content, you may have heard me talk about commingling funds. So I won't spend a ton of time on that, but just a quick recap. Basically what that is you have your business bank account and you have your personal bank account. When you're mixing funds for your business through both accounts, it's called commingling funds, and it can create a crack in your LLC. So if you're sued, an attorney suing you will say, you know what, like this isn't a legit LLC because they're commingling funds. Let's go after your business and personal assets. So yes, there's that part of it of why you want to set up a business bank account right away, but also for your own sanity. When it comes to preparing for taxes for your first time in your business, if you have that business bank account set up as early as possible, then what you can do is you can simply export all your credits and debits, or maybe perhaps you're integrating with some service like QuickBooks or bench accounting or something like that. It makes it so much easier for you. So you're not looking back and like looking at your personal bank account and being like, what was that $112 charge from Amazon? I'm not sure if that was personal or business, right? You can end up doing those things if you're not set up with a business bank account early on. So do that as early as possible. Okay, so number 3 is don't misclassify employees as contractors. Sometimes we call them W-2s and 1099s. But the reason that businesses typically do this is because they're trying to save money on taxes. You don't have to pay as much tax as a business owner for a contractor as you do an employee. Now, again, I went to my CPA on this one. I actually asked him for this video. I go, hey, what are the most common pitfalls that new business owners run into that you see time and time again? And he said, this is one of the biggest. The reason for this is when you have a contractor, you're paying them as a contractor, the tax liability is on them. The way that this scenario plays out many times is that you'll have somebody who is an independent contractor, a 1099, and you're paying them that way. And then maybe the relationship doesn't go well, or maybe it's just so-so. But really, they should have been classified as an employee. And when it comes to tax time, they realize that they owe a lot of taxes. They start talking to a friend who's had a similar situation. And they're like, oh, you might want to talk to an attorney. The attorney looks at it and looking at what they did for the business, they're like, no, you weren't a contractor. You were an employee. And this tax liability is on the business owner. So it's not only that you as the business owner may have to go back and pay all those back taxes that you didn't pay on the employee side, but it could also be if the state decides that you did something fraudulent intentionally, that you may get fined and you may even get jail time for it. So I know that sounded scary, but we're going to have a resource that we're going to talk about later in this video that can help you through those decisions and figuring out if you need to classify somebody as an employee instead of a contractor. Number 4, we'll mix it up coming in from the side of the screen. Don't forget to register for state sales tax. Now, not every business needs to do this, but if you're selling physical goods, you absolutely do, right? So like, let's say you go and you buy, I don't know, I got this tripod here and I got it from a camera store, right? And it was $100. Well, I'm in New York. There's going to be state sales tax of that, about 8 point something percent. So I owe $8. It's not like the business is keeping that money. They are paying that to the state, but they only do that if they register for the state sales tax. You have to do that before you start selling physical goods and other services. What kind of businesses need to register for the state sales tax really depends on a lot of factors. It depends on which state you're in, so it can get very specific. And there's also things that go down into your local municipalities. Like there are things for me in New York State that don't apply to me here in West New York that do apply in New York City. So I got a cool trick for you here. We have a Start Smart Biz Diagnostic tool. It is a quick quiz that you can take in under 5 minutes. And based on your answers, it's going to give you tailored advice to your specific situation. Now, one of the questions is going to be around state sales tax. And through the quiz, it'll give you advice in your specific situation on how to get free insights from a CPA on setting up the proper tax structures for your business when you're getting set up. There'll be a link in the description below for that free diagnostic tool. Highly suggest you go through it. It's going to cover a lot of these questions that we're talking about in here and making sure that you have a tailored report for your situation so that you can avoid these pitfalls that new business owners fall into. When we do this time, we'll go number 5. So this one's cheesy, but don't give up. All right. 50% of businesses fail within the first 5 years. We've all heard those things. And a lot of times the difference between somebody who sets up their LLC and launches their business and has success or failure is simply the fortitude to keep going forward. You're going to run into issues constantly as a new business owner, and they can be frustrating. But what I have found, and also cheesy, is understanding your why. I am so sick of hearing about it, but that you hear about it so much because it's so important. So for me as a new business owner, when I was getting started, there was a lot of issues and things I had to learn and just mistakes and headaches and stuff. But I constantly reminded myself of why I'm doing this. And in my situation, it's because I wanted to create a life for me and my family, my wife and my boys, that wasn't predicated on somebody else's direction. I didn't want to show up to a job and have everything dictated to me by somebody else of when I needed to be places, where I needed to be, how I needed to dress, how I needed to talk, all of these things. If my son has a soccer game at 4 o'clock, I don't want to have to worry about running it by somebody if I can go to that soccer game. But for you, it may be very different. And I think a lot of times people start a business because they're like, I want to make a bunch of money. All right. Well, yeah, that's great. But that's not necessarily going to pull you through those emotional dips as a business owner. You also want to tie it to why you want to make that money. Or maybe it's because you want to make an impact in your community. Get really clear on what your why is as a new business owner, because that'll help pull you through those tough emotional times. Alrighty, let's open up the mailer. So as they would say on some shows, mail time. So this was exactly what I thought it would be. And you know why? Is they've sent it to me like 10 times. It's the same mailer, and it's saying that we've updated your address. I set up a virtual mailbox, and they now send me a mailer like monthly saying we've updated your address, and it's the same darn mailer, and I don't know why they keep killing trees to tell me about the thing I already know. Some of the best advice that I got as a new business owner was, you've got this. All right. Yes, there's going to be things that you have to get through, but you've got this. Just keep pushing forward. And what you're going to see on the screen right here is a video talking about the LLC cost calculator. If you haven't set up your LLC yet, it's going to walk you through that. And what I have over here is a video that's going to be about the emotional side of things as a business owner. Like, how do you make sure that you don't fall apart in those emotional dips and you can keep pushing forward and make sure that you build the business that is going to help you have the life that you deserve. Again, be sure to check out the diagnostic tool in the description, and I'll catch you in the next video.